I'll be just as surprised as the results as you are. Welcome back to Freeman's Garage. It's another day here working on the abandoned 56 Tri-5 Chevy. And we're doing some blasting and painting, namely on suspension parts. We're kind of finishing something that we had previously started on this Tri-5 Chevy. The used Harbor Freight blast cabinet off Craigslist was kind of giving us some troubles. But over on the Freeman's Garage Extra channel, we fixed all that on the blast cabinet, and now we've got faster blasting speeds. Here's a little test patch we did over there in Freeman's Garage Extra. This is all the driver's side suspension parts right here. The goal is to get all these done, blasted, painted. Once this is all blasted and painted, then there's just the same thing to repeat on for the passenger side parts. And then the new bushings go in, and ball joints, and then everything goes back together on the front end. What I'm trying to tell you is, once this stuff is done, we're one step closer to start thinking about the engine and the transmission and wheels and tires. I can't wait until we blast the coil spring. I think that's probably going to be the funnest part to do, you know, just because it's a spring. Okay, this is not working. Well, it's working, but the challenge is this first piece, the lower control arm, isn't even done yet. The modification we made to the blast cabinet over on the Freeman's Garage Extra channel works amazing. It really did speed up the blast times. But this is still just taking forever. And on lighter areas where the rust is lighter, it cleans up really good quickly. But where the rust is heavier, it's just taken forever to get things cleaned up. And if you want it to be really clean, you know, we're gonna have to go over it a handful of times. There's nothing wrong with the blast cabinet. It's the air compressor that can't keep up. When it's full and there's 200 pounds in there, it'll take the heaviest rust down to nothing quickly. But just as quickly as it takes the rust off, the tank drains, and then we're down at 50 psi, and then we're sitting there just tiddlywinking along. Is that... Oh no, that's a game. Tiddlywinks is a game. Forgot about that game. And Freeman's Garage is not getting a giant brand new air compressor today. You know, budgets and you know how it is. But I do have a solution. But the solution has a challenge as well. It's going to require us to go to a store that sells groceries. Take you, and you, and you, and you, not like I care, but I kind of wonder what people think when a guy with hair like mine is buying this much vinegar. The only store I could find that had 10 gallons was Wonderland. So I grabbed all those. And now, I've done this many times before. And I know that it works amazing for rust. I mean, absolutely amazing. Doesn't take paint off really, but rust it does. But the thing is that the results are not always going to be the exact same every time. So, whoo, that's strong. Ooh, need a gas mask. The results aren't going to be the exact same every single time, so I'll be just as surprised as the results as you are. Oh, I gotta put my Willie Nelson shirt over my face. The reason why I got 10 gallons was I just wanted to make sure we have enough. We might only use 5 or 6. Well, I don't know. It looks like we probably will use all 10, but we're going to need it for brake drums and stuff like that in the future anyways, so it was worth picking up now. I mean, seriously, who knows what we're going to soak in vinegar in future videos? Could be anything. I hate wasting tape. But, you know, what are you going to do? If you're currently unaware of how amazing of a rust remover vinegar is, you're going to be extremely mind blown. It's just been seconds and you can see the vinegar's already going to work. It's going to take time to get through the heavy rust like on the coil spring and other pieces, but on the bare metal, you can see it already starting to do some vinegar action. If you're going to use vinegar as your rust fighting tool, there's something you got to keep in mind. The vinegar will actually cause rust. I have filled an entire 55-gallon drum full of vinegar before and soaked full sets of wheels in there for overnight, 2 days, 3 days, even some stuff for a whole week. And decades of rust will just slide right off and you'll have bare metal. But the challenge is when you pull it out of the vinegar, that bare metal is going to flash rust. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, but how I've always prevented that flash rust is by pulling the part out of the vinegar, spraying it off with fresh water, and then covering the part in baking soda and rubbing the baking soda in, just like rubbing your seasonings into the brisket. But in this particular situation right now, we're not going to use the soda of baking. We're going to let all the parts soak overnight, and in the morning, if everything is down to bare metal, we'll pull it all out, give it a quick rinse with fresh water, blast it dry with compressed air, and if it gets a little bit of surface rust, a little bit of flash rust, that's fine. We're just going to throw it right into the blast cabinet and just give it all a real quick cleanup, and then we'll paint it. Let's do the smart thing and move this outside where I want it to sit overnight before we completely fill it up with 3,000 pounds of vinegar. I'm sure you recognize that gold panning kit screen from a previous video. I think that'll do it. We'll leave that ball joint sticking out the top. We probably don't want to submerge that in vinegar. We'll have to spend a little bit of time just sandblasting that area, but other than that, I think we're set. I'll see you in the morning and we'll see how much bare metal we have. Alright, it's been more than 24 hours, closer to 30. Let's see what these parts look like. Alright, let's take a peek. Hopefully nobody's pet slipped in here. And it looks like that's probably going to slide right off. Oh yeah, look at that. The rust is just coming right off. I kind of want to let it all sit for another 24 hours to get a deeper penetration and rust removal to where it really just starts sliding off like meat off the bone in your mama's slow cooker. But let's take the upper control arm out, the one that we've got halfway in the vinegar, and let's just see how it blasts up. Let's give it a rinse with some fresh water. Gave her a rinse with the garden hose. I'll dry it off some compressed air so that we don't get all this water into our blasting media. It's coming right off with air. I'd say that vinegar is working great. 100% distilled. White flavor. That's the key. Since we're not using baking soda or anything that could prevent flash rusting, it's already begun to do that, which is what I've warned you about. And in our case, we're going to get this thing in that blast cabinet so it doesn't matter. However, later in the video, I'll tell you about one more thing to be aware of when using vinegar to remove rust. Right now we got to get this part in the blast cabinet and see how it cleans up. What I'm saying is there's no time for me to be running my mouth right now. Oh yeah, that's right. I need to put some tape back over this ball joint. I don't know why I ever took it off in the first place. Dang it. It's gonna take like 3 minutes. Where's my tape? Duct tape! Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. Well, that's how you save hours. Other than spending a small fortune on a large enough air compressor. Not done, but we had some fun blasting on it just to see what would happen. Let's dunk it back down into the vinegar and just let everything sit for another 24 hours just for a fun test. And in the morning we'll see if it all comes off even easier and faster. Alright, so it's been another 24 hours. Let's check the parts and see if the rust removal magic has gotten even better. Well, the lid blew off. And there is some swamp magic going on in here. So the exposed metal that we had blasted, of course, has a layer of surface rust on it now, which is fine. And all that we did blast looks pretty good sitting down in the vinegar. things are looking great. To the paint booth. And by paint booth, I mean on a piece of cardboard that I found in the front yard next to grass clippings, fossils, and historic bricks. Alright, this looks great. I should point out that this is just a primer coat that we're putting on these parts. Just to keep the parts from rusting for right now, because I'm not 100% sure what color I actually want to paint them. Most likely we'll do a semi-gloss black, because that's most likely what the parts left the factory with in 56. It's not a restoration. I just want the color to be close to the factory color. Alright, let's find the coil spring. I think we're on it. Oh, that looks good. See how it sprays off with the hose. Oh, no you don't. Well, I'd say that looks quite alright. Wouldn't you say, folks? That's just from being on the concrete. I don't know what it did to my hand though. Maybe I should wash that off. Oh yeah, look at that action. That was pretty awesome. The spindle on the lower control arm came out great as expected. Let's get these two blasted and primed. Yeah, I got nothing to complain about here. It's all ready for whatever final coat I want to put on it, bushings, and reassembly. Somehow I didn't miss anything when I sprayed this one in the dark. If you're the subscribing type, please do that if you want. It lets me know that you give a hoot, and also because there's a lot more of pretty much what you just saw. And next time it'll go a lot quicker and smoother because we won't be spending any time running any scientific experiments. And you should also subscribe if you want, because I did buy a motor for this car. For now, just know that it is a V8, so sink your teeth into that. And also for now, if you like the video that you just watched, then I'm sure you'll love the one that's probably covering my face right about now.